Clogged dryer vents cause fires, cost you money, and can waste you a lot of time. Here's how to clean yours out in about 15 minutes. Now, if your dryer's not drying very efficiently, chances are it's the dryer vent or the dryer itself has just gotten dirty. There's a lot of lint buildup inside. Usually it's that vent line that builds up the most lint, and as that builds up, it's just gonna make your dryer not run very well. You're gonna waste a lot of money basically trying to blow air out that can't blow out, and your clothes just won't get that dry. So today we're gonna clean ours out. All we're gonna need to do this is ideally a cordless drill, which we're gonna run on low speed. We'll use a simple brush kit. This kit comes with like 30 feet or more of this stuff. It's got a brush that I can screw onto the end, and on the other end, it's got a little end that's made for the drill, which is super handy. I do have this cool little plug thing. This is for the actual like opening to the dryer vent. So I can stick the drill thing through here, that brush, but through this other hole, I can insert my vacuum, which is gonna come in really handy for us in this case, and you'll see why in just a few minutes. We're gonna use a little bit of tape. We're also gonna grab the vacuum cleaner. A shop vac would be great for this, but I don't have a shop vac right now. I just have a normal vacuum. I know, I'm the Fixter. I should have a shop vac. I don't right now. Life, okay? A couple other things that can be helpful. Some aluminum foil tape, actually. I don't have any of that anymore either. But that's not necessary. That's just for putting it back together at the end if we want to use it to help kind of seal it up a little, seal up the duct a little bit more. But we have a pretty good seal here. We shouldn't need that. And then if you want to wear like a face mask and goggles and gloves and all that stuff, you can. There is probably going to be a little bit of lint getting up in the air. I don't know. I'm probably not going to, but even though I probably should. Maybe I should. I'll try to be a good example. I'll see if I can go find some goggles, if not, at least glasses. But goggles are better because they're gonna seal, and so it's gonna keep stuff from getting in your eyes. And I think that should do it for us for this. I might need, this kit also came with an adapter for the vacuum hose so that if my vacuum hose is too big or too small for this, I can attach it more easily. And we're just gonna jump in and we're gonna get started here. So to get started first, I'm gonna move the washer over to give me a little bit more space. Then we gotta pull the dryer out. That way I can get to the vent that's behind it, and we'll start there. Let's jump in. Okay, now for the sake of safety, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug the dryer. That way we don't have any power coming to it. All right, next we're gonna need to remove this hose. Mine kind of just fell off because apparently it wasn't attached with hose clamps. Typically you're gonna need to use either like a flathead screwdriver or ideally a nut driver to unscrew the hose clamp, but this didn't have a hose clamp attached. We didn't have to do that step. But we're gonna take this off, this flexible section off. And then before I go crazy doing anything else, I'm actually gonna kind of vacuum out the vent on the bottom of the back of the dryer that the other end of this came off of. And then I'm gonna kind of vacuum out what I can get here on the very end. And then, just for our sake, so we can see what things are looking like in there, I'm gonna use a little borescope camera so you can see inside. We can see what it looks like in there. I turned the dryer on and I went to see how much air was blowing out. It turns out the vent outside for me is that it's really high and the ladder I have won't reach it. I don't have an extension ladder anymore, and so I can't get to it. So that's why it's gonna be really helpful for us to use the vacuum cleaner, not just here at the beginning, but also because I'm gonna try to pull as much of the lint out as I can rather than pushing it out, blowing it out, which is what we would often end up doing. So we'll try to pull, and that's why we're gonna use this. I'll be able to run it through here. Get down. I'll be able to run it through here, and then I'll be able to be sucking on it instead of waiting till the end and using the dryer to kind of blow out what's left. All right, let's go ahead and just get started. So step one, we've moved the dryer, we've detached it and everything, and we're just gonna kind of clean this up. And that's just gonna give us a good starting point. So now let's go ahead and look inside and see what this is looking like. Okay, so we can see inside there. Now, fortunately for me, I have a pretty straight shot. So this just goes up a little bit and then has a 90-degree bend and goes straight out. That's a very short line. That's about as ideal as it gets. You see up there? So you can see it just kind of bends 90 degrees and that goes straight outside. It's not looking very dirty. We're gonna go ahead and do this anyway, just so you can see what this looks like. But it's looking pretty good. If your dryer vent's looking like this, you're probably pretty good. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna wanna do is we're going to want to brush this out. So I'm going to attach this end here. Now, one thing that we can do, because I'm probably gonna need 2 or 3 of these lengths, which I have a bunch of these in this kit that it came with. I'm probably gonna need 2 or 3 lengths worth, But what we don't want to do is attach them all at the beginning, or it'll just whip it all around. We actually have to kind of feed it in a little bit at a time. So for each of these attachments, really, we kind of want to tape them together if we can, because otherwise they can come unscrewed. Now, how we're going to really avoid them coming unscrewed is we're only going to turn it clockwise. So I just make sure I don't ever go in reverse. If I go in reverse, I'll unscrew these. So let's just feed one of these in. I'm going to go on low speed. So I'm not doing a lot of work to brush. Okay, now I'm going to detach here. And I can take off the little end piece here that's, there we go. So I just went in reverse and I held the line really tight and went slowly in reverse so that it would back out this little end for me. Okay, then I screw in the next one, attach this little end piece, attach it to the drill. Okay, then I'm gonna gently, so I'm using my left hand to kind of guide it. I'm gonna gently feed that up and in. It's still going. So I'll go ahead and reverse it and hold this line a little bit, just again, so I can get that bit piece off. I'm gonna attach one more, and I think that's gonna be enough for mine. Now in my last house, we had like a 30-foot or longer line. And so it needed to be cleaned more often. It just always had problems. But also it means I needed a ton of this stuff. Okay. Now I'm gonna just kind of feed that until I feel like I'm hitting like no resistance there. I'm probably at the bend. So now what I'll do is I'm gonna take it off of here and we're gonna attach this. So that hole is gonna let me run. There's a hole here that I can put that through. Then I can slide this inside and then I can attach my vacuum hose. Attach or just hold. I'm gonna get the little adapter that came with this because this is pretty small going into this hole and be better, I'd get more suction if it was tighter. So I'm gonna grab that real quick and then we'll attach it. And this should be nice and clean. It shouldn't make too much of a mess outside. We'll watch from what it looks like outside too, just to make sure we're not blowing a bunch of dust everywhere. I'm curious to see how this works. All right, well, I was afraid of that. Turns out that I pushed it all the way through the actual vent cover. Those little flaps come off really easily. And normally we would want to take that cover all the way off. I just couldn't reach it. Anyway, we're just gonna be careful as we pull it back in so we don't ruin that vent cover. And then later I'll just have to get a hold of someone's extension ladder so that I can put it back on. But that's easy enough to do. I just need to get a hold of the ladder. All right, so we're gonna go ahead though and continue. I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum up what I've got here. Then we'll go ahead and start actually doing the brushing. Now, it comes with this attachment here. It's kind of cool, fits over the end of my vacuum hose. And then this end I can stick in here. And that's gonna give me pretty decent suction. We'll leave that there. I'm gonna turn on the vacuum and then we're just gonna start brushing this. I'm gonna just kind of start pulling back. I'm gonna keep it going in the forward direction, but I'll just kind of go back and forward, slowly working my way out. And as I do, I'm hopefully kind of pulling the lint and dust toward us and then sucking it out with the vacuum. Here we go. Now we'll just see how much cleaner it is. We're gonna use this again one more time and just see if that helped. You can see just how much cleaner that is. The roughness along the walls makes a big difference. When I was an engineer, this was something that I studied quite a bit. Just how smooth and how rough it is makes a big difference on the airflow through. And as it constricts, as you get even just a bit of buildup on the sides, which will happen over time, it just reduces more and more and more the amount of airflow, makes it a lot harder to push the air through. Something as clean as this is just gonna blow out really, really easily. Now, if you're looking for the vent for your dryer and you can't find it on the exterior walls of your house, it's possible that it actually goes out the roof. In some situations, especially if your laundry room is kind of central in your house, it'll go straight up. And if that's the case, it's got a different kind of vent cap and it's up on the roof. The cleaning process looks exactly the same. If it's going up, just like in this situation, it has to use a straight pipe. It can't use like this flexible stuff. And so it's gonna be nice and easy to clean, just like what we did here. It's just gonna be going up instead of out. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking for that vent, it's possible it's up on the roof. Now, if your dryer vent, if the vent line is really long, like it was in my last house, Sometimes I didn't have enough line and it just wasn't very feasible to brush it all from one end. Honestly, in a lot of cases, it's nice to brush from inside and then again from the outside. And in that house, I had to brush from both sides just to be able to get to the whole thing. We also want to clean off that vent. So I could go wipe it down, get any lint off of it, and make sure those flaps are flapping really well. At the beginning, when I took a video, I saw that the top two flaps were opening really well and the bottom flap wasn't opening at all. That's restricting airflow and that's gonna catch little bits of lint that get through. We don't want that, so I need to make sure that's working well. Now, that bottom one, ironically, is actually the one that popped off now, so I'm gonna end up fixing it anyway. But we can just wipe those down and put them back together. Then we can just clean up here. Obviously, I've already done that here. I've already vacuumed up in here. Now, sometimes, especially on the outside, people will be tempted to put like a mesh screen on that end, maybe to keep like bugs out, right? Prevent bugs from getting inside there. That's actually against code. It's really dangerous because it's gonna catch all the lint. It's gonna catch it really fast and that can cause a fire. And fires are worse than wasp nests. I haven't seen a lot of problems with bugs, like wasp nests and stuff inside of dryer vent lines, probably because of the warm air that blows out through them on a fairly regular basis. So it's not a big thing to worry about. And the little flaps that close, they're gonna keep out a lot of stuff. But again, the fact that you run the dryer is gonna do the rest. Next, we just gotta put it all back together and then we're gonna test it out, make sure it's all working well. So I'm putting this on here because the hose didn't actually fit very well on this tube in here. So now I'm putting this little connector piece in that should make it work a lot better. Now that should seal just fine, but if we want to, we can use this aluminum tape. We can just wrap a piece around it and that's just gonna help it seal. This is made for ducts. So I just need enough to go all the way around it. Now it's on there solid, and in the future we'll be able to just take the hose off the dryer and just run everything, that tool and everything, the brush, just through here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in and then we'll be good to go. Now I can just slide the dryer straight back into position. Okay, and then we're back in business. Next, I'm gonna turn the dryer on and I'll go check outside and see how well the dryer vent is flapping. It should be flapping pretty good. So we'll do that here at the end. But first, let's talk about how we're gonna prevent problems with the dryer and keep it running really well year round. Tip number one is we're gonna do this cleaning once a year. If the duct is long, like it has to travel pretty far through your house to get to outside, you might want to do it even more often than that. Next, the lint trap. We're gonna clean that out every single load. If you don't do that, your dryer is not gonna be running efficiently at all. And then one thing that we can do is we can note today's date on a piece of paper, on a little stick or something that we could put here next to the dryer. It's gonna remind us when the last time we cleaned it out is so that we can remember to come back a year from now and do it again. Or you can just always remember with daylight savings time or something in the fall when you fall back or in the spring when you spring ahead, either one, that's one of the things that you're gonna add to your annual to-do list. And so now with like a $25 kit and a drill, you saved yourself money, you saved yourself energy, you might have even saved your house. And if you're doing this project anyway, you might as well go ahead and clean out the inside of your dryer too, and that's gonna help keep it running efficiently. And for that, I have another video here that walks you through the steps of how to do that. Thanks for joining me today at Fixter. If you like learning how to do things yourself, that's what we're all about. We want to help you be enabled and empowered to be able to take care of your home and take care of all the things that you need to for yourself in your life. We got tons of content here, and if there's something that you'd like to learn, leave a comment in the comments and I'll see if I can get to it. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you all next time. Okay.